Hey guys. I wanted to come on this morning, but um, it's telling me to pick a song. What's that about? I hope I'm not supposed to be singing live on here. I wanted to come on this morning because we had a really good discussion going last night around people feeling a lot different than they normally did, and I wanted to come on this morning and talk about it, but I kind of got cut. I had some things that were a little bit more important to deal with. If any of you haven't seen, our bird passed away in the middle of the night. So we did a little bit of a shift in what we were focusing on for the day. And we spent some time together and put him to rest at the place where I grew up. And Sylvia got to visit the farm. So I just wanted to come on and have a little talk about what was coming up last night, because I keep seeing posts about people who are not able to sleep, and or who are falling asleep but waking up in the middle of the night. And I wanted to come on and talk about it a little bit because I think there's a lot more going on than problems with sleep. So as you come in, I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions. Say hi. Let me know that you're watching. I want to know, is anyone watching? If you can send me a thumbs up or a comment. Hi, John. Send me a comment or a thumbs up and let me know, are you having trouble sleeping? If you're having trouble sleeping, give me a thumbs up so I know that you are one of the people who is having trouble falling asleep or staying asleep. Okay, let me know if you're having trouble there. Okay, so that's one of the things that I wanted to talk a little about. But there's a couple other things that are going on with people. And they've really only just started, or maybe they've gotten amplified in the last couple weeks while we're dealing with COVID and while we're all feeling like there's a little bit of uncertainty going on. So thanks, John. Thanks, guys, for our giving me your condolences about our bird. So there's some other things. Give me some thumbs up if you're having trouble sleeping, more trouble than you've ever had before, or new trouble in the past few weeks or so. Okay. The other thing that might be going on is you might be feeling more anxious and uncertain. And by anxious, I mean that, like, you're actually feeling it in your body. Maybe your head is talking about things, and I don't know, you've got a lot of questions running through your mind. Maybe it's waking you up. Maybe that's part of why you're waking up. Hi, Teresa. Or maybe anyone out there feeling a little bit short-tempered or irritable. Do you find yourself responding faster? Maybe you have like a little bit less patience. Like, send me some thumbs up so I know that I'm hitting stuff that you guys are having, that's experiencing. Okay, I see a couple people saying both. Yes, thumbs up. Okay, cool. So I'm right on with what I'm talking about. I see lots of thumbs coming up now. Okay, so there's another way that you might be feeling right now, and I want to see some thumbs up if you are avoiding. Maybe you're avoiding social media. You might be here right now, but you're generally being less on social media. If you're avoiding connecting with friends or responding to messages that people are sending you, or maybe you're shutting down. Does anyone feel like they kind of like want to bury their head under the blankets and pretend this stuff isn't going on? Okay, so I see some thumbs. Okay, so that's the other thing I wanted to talk about. The last thing I want to talk about that I want to know if you're feeling is, I call it noise assaulted. Are noises feeling more threatening to you? Like, are you being startled more often? Are you kind of like, do your ears feel sensitive or anything like that? Anyone give me some thumbs up? Yeah, I hear lots of talking, lots of not being able to sleep. Okay, so I wanted to come on because these are signs and symptoms that I see in a lot of my clients. And I wanted to come in and talk to it because this is not something that most of us deal with on a regular basis. And if you didn't know, most of my clients, most of the people that I work with, are people who have been through traumatic experiences. So they are domestic violence victims. They could have had sexual assault. They could have, had a car accident, or like anything where you have been through an experience and it's challenged you to recover. Right? Where you've needed some assistance to recover, or maybe you didn't get assistance when you needed it and you felt like you got stuck in it. Okay, so those are the kind of clients that I'm working with. Okay, I see some shutting down. Thanks for being honest, guys, because I need to know if the the work that I'm doing and the help that I can put out there is what you guys need, because I think it is, because I'm feeling it. So let's be a little bit honest. I'm feeling a little bit of both of these things. So what I described was two categories of response. The first kind of response that happens in a traumatic experience, and let's be honest, we are in what could turn out to be a traumatic experience for any one of us. Any one of us in the whole world going through this could respond to this in a traumatic way. What do I mean by trauma? I mean that we've had an experience where we don't know how to process it, where we can't rationalize or talk ourselves through it, and there are emotions that we need help dealing with. A lot of the times it's because you don't have the resources or the tools or the skills to process on your own, and that's why I think it's really important we start talking about it as a community, as friends, because the talking part is part of the processing. Good, guys, I see some hearts. Good. Someone out there is getting this. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I'm like right on the ball with this, because I think what's happening here is we are responding in one of two ways. So when we are put in a situation where that's outside of our normal, where we are challenged, where there is threat, where there is uncertainty, there are two ways that we can respond. And has anyone here of the window of tolerance? Okay, so we have this kind of window that we normally respond in, right? So most of our lives go through this window, right? Like we're up, we're down, we're dealing with stuff, we're having great days, we're having bad days, good days, but you're kind of in this middle window and your life usually goes in there, right? But then we come up with something like this, where we are seriously being challenged, where everything that we normally do, our jobs, our schools, our grocery shopping, our social lives, the ability to connect and even hug people is completely out of our realm of experience. We are being put in a position where we've never had to deal with any of this before. And all of us are dealing with this, right? Okay. So we are in a place where, one, we don't know what's going to happen next. And two, we don't have all the resources we normally do. We don't have the ability to go out and exercise at the gym. We don't have the ability to sit down with our whole family and have a meal. So we have to figure out new ways of doing. Okay, cool. We're doing it. You guys are doing a great job. I know we're all doing a great job, and we're doing it to help everyone. However, what's happening is our nervous system is responding to what's going on. And so we normally work in this window, right? But right now, we can be in one of two places. Either we are overreactive, and that would be called hyperarousal. So your nervous system is working on overload, right? Or we are underneath, and that's where we're hypo-aroused. And that's the places where you're avoiding or shutting down or going silent or feeling noise assaulted or pressured to respond to people, right? And up here in the hyperarousal, that's where you are anxious. You can't sleep. You might be walking on eggshells or waiting for the other shoe to drop. You might be short-tempered or irritable, right? Give me a thumbs up if you're feeling hyper-aroused, overreactive. Give me a thumbs up. Okay, I'm seeing some thumbs. Cool. Not cool that you're there, but cool that you're admitting it and that you're aware. Give me some thumbs up if you're hypo-aroused, so you're avoiding, shutting down, going silent, those kind of things. Okay, good. So what I wanted to explain is that's what's happening. So we are outside of our window of tolerance. We're either up or we're down, right? And when we're up or down, it's because our nervous system doesn't know how to handle it. Our nervous system doesn't know what's happening, and we are trying to find a new balance, okay? So I wanted to come in and let you guys know that's what's happening, right? And so if you're feeling hyper-aroused, what's happening is your nervous system has been mobilized to respond to a threatening situation, right? This is a threatening situation. When you think about it, we don't know what's going to happen, right? So your nervous system has been mobilized, meaning your body is putting out high levels of adrenaline and cortisol to keep you ready to respond to a life or death situation. And yes, this is a life or death situation. However, you're not being attacked by a tiger or a bear, and your body thinks that's what's happening. Okay, so your body thinks that you are being attacked by a tiger or a bear or some sort of immediate life or death response where your body is mobilized into its fight or flight mode. Okay, so fight or flight mode, you need all of those hormones to give you the energy to respond quickly and very quickly and fast and without thinking, right? So what's happening if you're having trouble sleeping, getting to sleep or staying asleep, is you are probably got a larger amount of adrenaline or cortisol running through your body right now. And that's affecting your sleep. It might cause you to start thinking things and waking up and having thoughts in the middle of the night. I know I've had it. Okay. And if we're hypo-aroused is kind of the avoidant thing. But there's another thing that happens with the fight or flight. So fight or flight, if you think about being in fight or flight, let's think about it from an animal perspective, right? You guys have all seen, you know when you're going for a walk and you see a rabbit on the pathway or right off the path, and it stops and freezes. So when the rabbit is under threat, it has a couple of options. So its first options are fight or flight. So inside of the rabbit's body, all of those hormones and the adrenaline and the cortisol and everything to get it moving and either fighting for its life or running away is mobilized. But with the rabbit, they often recognize that their chances of survival don't depend on running or fighting. For a rabbit, their highest chance of survival is not moving, is staying still so that it's not recognized, because they have a lot of camouflage behaviors. They're very good at staying still, and you could easily walk by them. So the rabbit uses something called freeze. Okay, so in humans, we don't use freeze as often, right? We have the ability to run, we have the ability to fight, we're pretty good at it. We're top predators, so freezing usually doesn't help us, especially if it's a tiger or a bear, right? They don't care if we stand still. So in humans, the freeze response is not normal for us. So the freeze response happens when fight or flight is not an option. So for us as a human, if you are doing things like avoiding or shutting down, you're going into the freeze response. Okay. Or you might even be doing, there's another fourth one that we talk about sometimes, we call it appease. And that's the one where you might be agreeing with people just because you don't want to argue. You're saying yes to things you don't want to say yes to because you don't want to deal with the consequences. And you're not getting what you need. So these are also two other responses that can be not fulfilling. So what I wanted to talk about right now was just to find out, is this what's happening with you guys? Who can relate to this? If you can relate to what I'm talking about, give me some thumbs up or some hearts, throw them up so I can see them coming up over the screen. I really want to know if what I'm talking about is on point, because this is the area where I work with people most. I'm used to working with people in trauma, and right now there are so many of us that are experiencing this who have never dealt with a serious traumatic incident in our lives. And so our body doesn't know how to respond to it, right? But there are a few other people. There are a few other people out there, and I talked to a couple of them last night who were actually feeling better with what was going on, who were feeling good about it. And I wanted to address those people, because if you are one of the people who has been through traumatic experiences, has done a lot of work, you've either gone through counseling, you've journaled, you've done a lot of personal development, you've healed from those challenges in your life, you are one of those people who has gone through post-traumatic growth. And that's really the area that I work in, is to take people not just through the trauma, but to actually help them process the trauma so that they can grow from it. So that their window of tolerance, which is this big, when we're in trauma, it shrinks, by the way. That's why you get triggered so often. So your window of tolerance, when you've been through trauma, gets smaller, but as you work through your problems, it begins to get bigger. And when you are someone like me who have done a lot of work around the crappy circumstances you've been through, your window gets a lot bigger, right? Plus, your body is used to having those hormones motivated up and down, up and down. So when cortisol and adrenaline flow into my body, I feel on fire. I feel on purpose. The people who are out there, our EMTs, our emergency room doctors, these are people who, firefighters, policemen, these are people who are used to that level of adrenaline, and they are used to having that level of adrenaline and response, and they've been trained to deal with trauma, right? So if you've done a lot of your own growth work, you might be feeling motivated. You might be feeling like you have a lot to give and a lot to share to people. And so I want to talk to you if you're one of those people too, because I'm looking for people who are there too, because I need to put together a group of people who have the same skill set. So I see a couple of people, I know a couple of people have mentioned, my fears aren't really about myself, they're about my family. So the other thing that happens when we're going through this kind of situation where we don't have any answers is what I call projecting disaster films. Okay, let's be honest. If you are one of those people who is projecting that your family members are going to get sick and you won't be there, or the economy is going to collapse, or your mutual funds have fallen apart. Yeah, I'm seeing lots of hearts. If you're out there projecting that stuff into the world, you are living in survival. You are living in fight or flight. You are living in those hyper aroused state, and your body is flooding itself with those hormones over and over again. Every time you open a news article, every time you read about someone whose family got sick, every time you think that thought in your head that says, well, what if this happens? You are allowing it to, and I'm not blaming anyone, because this is the whole point, like, to recognize what's going on, to recognize it, right? And I want you to know you're not the only one who's going through this. In fact, if we looked at it, the whole world is going through this. Just some of us have tools and resources and skills. Some of us have gone through this already. If you've been through a major traumatic experience, you might be having flashbacks. You might be feeling the same way. To be completely transparent, I woke up almost a week ago remembering what it felt like. And my body was experiencing the same emotions and the same triggers without telling me in my head about the time when I was isolated and living at the old farmhouse during SARS. And at that time, living with an abusive partner. And so with his anxiety and with his uncertainty, the abuse got worse at that time. So unconsciously, I was feeling those emotions of being back in that space. So if you are having all these heightened emotions, if you are feeling anxious and you can't sleep, if you are short-tempered or irritable, or if you're avoiding and wanting to run away, you're in a normal response. However, this is your wake-up call to decide what you're going to do about it. Decide what you're going to do about it. Yeah, I see lots of thumbs up. Because the truth is, this situation is not going to go away tomorrow. And what normally happens in fight or flight, when all of those things are mobilized in your body, it's a really quick resolution. You either escape the bear or tiger, or they eat you, right? Not going to happen here. We are going to be sitting in this situation for at least another month. At least another month. And so what do you need to do to bring your body back into its window of tolerance? Do you need to expand your window? Or do you need to learn new skills? Okay. So if this is something that you want to talk about, if this is something that you want to know more about, because this is the area that I work in, like, seriously, I am a post-traumatic growth and resiliency expert. That is this is the area where I work. And even though I'm also associating, remembering what's happened to me in the past, I am remembering what's happening to me in the past so that I can relate to what's happening now. So that I can put myself out here and say, even though I still feel uncertain and I don't have any solutions for my situation, I know that I can help you. So if you're looking for help, if you're looking for some answers, and you're willing to expand your window, then go ahead and send me a message. Put your name in the bottom and, say, Cheryl, I want to talk. Because you're not alone. And I want you to stay connected. Even if you don't want to work with me now, I want you to stay connected with me. Because the only way we can heal through this is through community. I will tell you for sure, we cannot heal trauma in isolation. You will not heal trauma by talking to only a counselor or only a coach. You will not heal trauma by pretending it didn't happen. The only way to heal trauma is in community and with the proper resources and tools and support. I have the resources and tools and support, and the community is all around you. So go ahead and connect with the people who will support you, who won't send you those news articles that aren't from a reputable news agency. and connect with me. Because if you need community, I've got one for you. Okay? Thanks, everyone. And thank you for letting me be honest and vulnerable and sharing with you the things that I've been going through so that I can help you go through what you're going through. Thanks, guys. Happy Sunday.